Hello, what is up? We here. So, the topic I'm talking about for this one is about the 3 different planes. So, I don't know how much you know, but there are 3 planes of existence. There is the spiritual plane, the mental plane, and the physical plane. So, I think the best way I can describe it is, obviously, the physical plane is Earth. It's what we are experiencing right now. It's the things you can touch and feel and see. The mental plane is kind of what goes on in your mind, thoughts and stuff. And then the spiritual plane is everything that we can't see. And it's the way that how I would describe the universe interacts with us. Now, why am I talking about this shit? So, I had an insight the other day in meditation that it was telling me that I am moving into alignment of all 3 planes. I have a theory that when we're kids, they knock out the spiritual plane. You know, that's where we, or at least how I've grown up. You know, there's a lot of things that are spiritual, mystical, that are deemed kind of crazy or just all the woo-woo shit. Like, psychics are, people don't really trust psychics, or, it was one of those things where it's like, why would you go to a psychic? Or it's just, one of those things that seemed very, what's the word? Comical. Okay, well, I'm not gonna sit here and think too hard about what the word is. And things like tarot readings and astrology. I remember when I was a kid, people used to be like, oh, why would you read your, astrology's not real, all of these fortunes or whatever, they're this applies to anybody. Just stuff like that. You even looking at yoga and mindfulness, we're taught to believe that this is all left field type of shit. It's just it's not real. And yeah, even things like ghosts and seeing spirits and stuff like that, people who talk, even talking to yourself, it's deemed crazy. All of these things are deemed this is some weird shit. Or yeah, how it's depicted in movies and stuff like that. When I think about ghosts and stuff, it's it's depicted as scary, and it's we're basically programmed to believe that stuff is not, yeah, it's just not real. It's comical. It's I'm trying to find the word. There's a word that perfectly describes this. But it's yeah, it's just made up. It's gonna bother me. I'll put it in the description if I think of it. And yeah, and then I feel we're fucked with on our mental plane all our lives as well. It, like I said, with programming, we're taught to believe certain things where there's so much negativity that's embedded in our thinking from a young age up until our whole lives. It's just you turn on the fucking news, it's all sad shit. And it's yeah, it's great to know what's going on in the world and to empathize with people, but it's yo, we can't celebrate some good shit too. We can't, everything's got to be a problem. Why? And I say that, but I know exactly why. And it's so that we don't believe in ourselves. And it's so that we look at the world and we're like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know? And then we think about that. Like we think of, because we are connected to the world, right? We're connected to the universe. So how we think about the state of the world is going to reflect about how we think about our own state, you know, because we are products of the world. And then so that leaves the physical plane. And then you look at your physical plane, your physical reality, and you're like, wow, this is fucking shit. And I think we're also taught when we're trying to manifest things or like have certain things in our life, we're taught to look at everything backwards. We're taught that if you don't see it in your reality, then how do you believe it? What's that saying? I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it. It's like everybody has this mentality because our concept of what is real is what we can see and what we can touch and what we can, I guess, experience on this physical plane. But it actually goes in the other order. You know, it's spiritual first. There's a knowing. It comes from somewhere. Like, you know, when you think about ideas, it's like, where do ideas come from? Right? Like, how do I explain this? I think the best way that I can kind of go through this is I learned through the chakra system. We get ideas, and that comes from the spiritual plane, and then it goes into our minds, and then we're able to visualize it, and then we bring it down into this physical plane, and we ground it and make it real because we were able to visualize it and plan it out, and then, you know, connect with people to make it happen, or use our expression. So, okay, let me just go through the chakra system. So, everybody knows from the root up, or most people know from the root up. But what I learned this year is that we bring the energy from the root up, but to manifest things or to bring things into an existence, we bring it from the top down. So the crown chakra is what is connected to the spiritual realm. It's where ideas come from. It's where, you know, basically the universe talks to you. The universe gives you something, and then you have that idea in your mind. I think a lot of people actually get stuck there because, you know, you can visualize something and maybe even you talk about it, because that's the next chakra after your third eye. It's your expression, your throat chakra. You talk about, you speak it into existence. It's also known for expression, and yeah, you talk about it, and then you talk about it to people, depending on what it is. But that's your heart chakra. You talk about it to people, you get people involved, whatever. And then you have to go through a level of believing it in yourself, and then like you create it, sacral chakra, and then root chakra is when it is down. It's grounded into the earth. It's physical. It's now real. So yeah, if you put that in plain terms of the three different existence planes, it's spiritual first, it's an idea, and then it comes into your mental, you think about it, you think it through, and then you ground it. It becomes real. But because we're taught to look at it as just the physical realm, I feel like that's why a lot of people have great ideas and then they don't go through with them. Another way to think about like the whole spiritual realm thing, I read this in another book. I can't remember which book. It might have been a book about art, but oh yes, I think it was Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. I believe it's The Creative Act or The Creative Way, something like that. But he says something about how there are ideas that are meant to come into fruition, and sometimes it's given to you, but when you don't do it, it goes to someone else because it's asking to be manifested. And the thing about that is, yeah, it's like, have you ever had an idea and then you see it happen maybe a little bit later and you're just like, oh, I wish I did that first, or like I should have done that first. Or when people think that their ideas are stolen, not to say that people don't have their ideas stolen, of course people also get that, but if it's like an idea that you've never shared with anybody. I actually had this happen. So back in the day, before I wanted to open an event venue, I wanted to open a dance studio, and there were certain things that I wanted this dance studio to represent, and there was even a way I wanted the logo to be made. I wanted it to be like kind of calligraphy. And then during COVID, or after COVID, there are some people that I know that opened a studio with that vibe. And I was like, I remember at first it was like, oh man, they beat me to it. But at the same time, I remember even telling them, like, I wanted to open something like this, and I'm glad that somebody did it because it's necessary in our city. And yeah, it's like I had never expressed the idea to them, so it's like they obviously couldn't have stolen it from me, but it's a thing of, it was time for that to happen, and so it happened to the people who were able to make it happen. And yeah, it's like I am now sitting in a time in my life where I have gone inwards to the point where I have aligned with my spiritual and I've aligned with my mental. So when I say that, I mean, like, with spirit, it's like trusting the universe, trusting that the things that I think and I believe, I'm starting to understand where they came from. I'm starting to understand, or not starting to understand, because I have understood this for a while, but it's like I'm actually starting to trust in the unseen forces. I'm starting to read the language of the universe. I'm starting to be able to see beyond what I've been taught to ignore, because the universe is always sending signals. You can always be in communication with the universe. There are a multitude of ways to communicate with the universe, whether that's opening a book and reading the first line or just reading the first line on a random page and taking that as a message, or hearing certain signs, hearing certain noises and interpreting what those mean. Because it's just like, there's fucking messages and everything. Angel numbers, everything, symbolism, animals, so many things, so many ways to interpret things. And that we're just kind of we're just trained to shut off, especially nowadays when you have Instagram and our attention spans are fucking short as fuck. And we're trained to look at a screen for hours on end because it gives us so much dopamine. Fuck. And that's where, I feel like the spiritual and the mental are very, very like this. I mean, they're all kind of like this, but yeah, it's like when you fuck around with the spiritual, it's because our mental is fucked up. We're, like I said earlier, we're trained to think a certain way. We're trained to think really negatively. We're trained not to believe in the things that we can't see. Oh, I also mentioned earlier did I mention? I don't know if it was in this video. I'm recording back to back. But I've been listening to an Alan Watts audiobook, and he was talking about how the scientific method is a way that we learn to prove things, right? But to get an accurate analysis of what something, or like, to get an accurate analysis of the proof of something through the scientific method, which is what's the scientific? It's when it's like when you run the experiment and then you get the result. You ask the question, then you run the experiment, and then you get the results, right? I think that's what it is. Don't quote me on this. It's been many years since I was in an institutionalized school system, and science was not one of my best subjects. I will be honest. But the reason why we have intuition, and I don't think it's the reason why we have intuition, but a lot of the times we have to fall back on our intuition because we don't have the time to actually develop the full result. So he was saying something about how, when we try to make a decision, a lot of the times we'll try to think about it, and that's us using the scientific method. But at some point there is either a time deadline, or we just don't have all the time in the world to decide. So instead we fall back on our intuition. And a lot of us don't realize that we do this. But yeah, it's like, if you don't trust your intuition, then you're going to make decisions based off of fear instead. And then that's when you make wrong decisions. Or, I don't know. I had to do this now. But, yeah, it's just like, if we had all the fucking time in the world to use the scientific method and to be surefire about every decision we made, it'd be a very different world. But that's not how the world works. And intuition exists for a reason, and that's what keeps us connected to the divine, or to source, to spirit. And, the more that you train that, and the more that you trust that, then the easier it is to bring things down from the spiritual to through your mental down to the physical. And for myself, I have been working really hard on my mental, and not to say that I've finished working on it. I definitely still have more to work on. I still sometimes fall into default patterns when I feel like I'm in a room of people who seem like they have more success or more authority than me. And I'm working on it, I am working on walking into a room and seeing myself as equal, entering as equal. This is something that I'm really, really understanding and loving about Buddhism, is when you meditate or you ask a deity for something, they tell you, or their belief is that you are entering as a deity yourself. So it's not like in Catholicism or in Christian practices where you are down here and God is up here. It's like you and the deity are the same, and you are offering an exchange so that you can get whatever you want. Or that's just to put it simply. That's not how I would say her. You know what I mean? It's like you come in as the equal because you want information, or you want help or something, and you offer yourself. You offer the old version of yourself. You offer a trade up. I fucking love this religion. It, it just makes so much sense to me. But yeah, a lot of us are not able to think like that. We put people on pedestals, and yeah, that's where we go wrong, because when you put someone on a pedestal and you put them above you, you are thinking less than of yourself, and it shows up. It shows up in how you act, and it makes you act weird. It made me act weird. There are so many times I can think of where I look back and I'm like, oh, why did I act like that? I acted pretty fucking weird. I'm not that type of person, but I acted like that type of person, and it was out of fear. Fear makes you do some crazy shit, bro. And, it's not, the goal isn't to make yourself fearless. It's just to recognize when you're feeling fear, why you're feeling fear, and then to tell it to take a motherfucking back seat. Because you are awesome. We're all awesome. We all have divinity within us, and we can all kind of accomplish very beautiful things. But yeah, it's like, I think that mental plane is so important. It's it's the middle. It's the connection between the two, right? And if you're all fucked up mentally, or you mentally think that the spiritual plane doesn't exist or whatever, until you fix that, you won't be able to fix the other one. So yeah, for myself, really getting in tune with myself and working on going inwards and being able to see the world and see myself differently. I can feel the physical changing for me, and I'm also not putting time on it anymore. And I feel like that's making it come faster. But I mean, we on the journey, So I hope you found this insightful, and I hope that you keep rocking with me so that you can see my reality change before your eyes. And so, yeah, maybe what I will say will land better. But at the end of the day, I really hope that regardless of how my physical reality looks, that through my words you can understand what I mean and see it for yourself as well, that you can make a difference in your life and in others' lives. Do your best. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you again for listening. Goodbye.